Hi, I'm Cara Gibbons, founder of KG Fitness, and this is my podcast, Raise the Standard, all about raising the standard of information and health and fitness for women aged 35 plus. As the most over-marketed to and under-resourced demographic currently, it matters to me what information you're being told when it comes to your health and fitness, and I will do my best to debunk the myths and tell it to you straight and tell you what actually moves the needle. So you might or might not have noticed that last week I didn't do a podcast. I had some stuff going on in my personal life and a lot of cool business things going on as well. And honestly, I didn't carve out the time. I could say that I didn't have the time, but actually I didn't carve out the time. And then I've been procrastinating. What should I talk about? What do people want to hear about? Overthinking the whole thing. But then it came back to what I tell my clients to do. You don't need more knowledge, you don't need more information, you don't actually need more time, you just need to do it. And that's what I want to talk about today. Doing the thing, regardless of whether you feel like it, whether you think you have the time for it, and whether or not you're doing it right. When it comes to women's health and fitness, most of the women who come on board with me have one of three main things going on in their life at that moment when it comes to their health and fitness in terms of barriers to not being able to do it. And the three sort of main things that crop up every single time are, I don't have time. Fair enough, I completely understand that. On paper, most of us don't have time, and I don't disagree with that statement at all. I don't know where to start. Also, completely agree with that. Most people, I think the problem is it's not that they don't actually know what to do, it's that they don't know what to start with first, and there is a difference. And the third one is, and this kind of links in a little bit to the not knowing where to start, but it's the overcomplicating something that actually should be really, really simple. Now let's start with the first one, I don't have time. So most of the women I coach, and myself included, are mums with children under the age of 20 who are either running their own businesses or very successful at what they do, usually working at least 4 days a week, if not 5, sometimes doing insane hours. A lot of them are on the road. They're juggling kids' clubs and activities. They're trying to show up in their marriage. They are making sure that they are keeping up to date with their friends and their social group. And their life admin is out of this world. Not only that, when it gets to the end of the day, they're completely done in and they can think of nothing other than sitting in front of the TV for a bit and convincing themselves that they need that time to decompress because life's been so full on. So I totally get it, because actually at this stage of life that we're in, we don't have much time. We've got way less time than we had in our 20s, and we've got way less time than we're going to have in our 50s and 60s. We are the most time poor generation currently. But there's a mindset shift that has to come with this, and I talk about mindset quite a lot, and that mindset shift is, at the moment, there will never be a point that life is less busy. So waiting to have the time, you'll be waiting forever, or you'll definitely be waiting until it's too late. And it's one of the things that I realised that I wasn't practicing what I preached myself last week, because I was like, well, I don't have the time to do my podcast. But it's not true. I didn't carve out the time. I chose to spend my time doing other things. And if I'm really honest, last week, because of everything that was going on, those other things did take priority and they were more important, but I would be lying to myself if I said that I didn't have the time, and there is a difference. And the same comes to when it comes to exercise or nutrition as well, okay? There is always the ability to look at your diary and find a 30 to 45 minute window. You don't need an hour, you don't need an hour and a half. 30 to 45 minutes is all you need, and really 3 to 4 times a week is enough. And if you're not doing anything, 1 to 2 times a week is going to make a difference. So what I get my clients to do when they come on board is I get them to sit down and look at what their week looks like. Realistically, honestly, what time are you getting up in the morning? What are you doing between getting up and leaving the house? And what time availability have you got there? And could it make a difference if you set your alarm 15 minutes earlier and shaved off 20 minutes of the faffing that you're doing without realising it. We all do it, don't we? So next thing you know, you're 20 minutes deep into social media. Or what about your lunch hour? Have you got time availability then, even if against just a 30-minute window? Most of the women I coach work from home at least 2 days a week. And it's about looking at your diary and coming at things from a slightly different mindset and standpoint, and coming at it with a can-do attitude rather than I can't, and actually trying to unpick the narratives that we have created around our own lives. Because I think sometimes, and don't hate me for saying this, we like to say, oh, I'm really busy. But are you? And I think most of you are. But are you really busy? Can you find time to exercise? You probably can. You need to reshift your priorities. Look at what your diary's telling you. And like I've said, just carve out 30 to 40 minutes anywhere between 2 and 4 times a week, ideally 3 to 4 times a week. But if you can't do that, something is always better than nothing. And once you've carved out that time, build it into your routine. Have that time, your window, on repeat. Tell your kids, tell your husband, create hard boundaries around it. I know that you have time to go to the hairdressers, and okay, that's not multiple times a week, but you find the time, you carve it out, you protect it. The same when it comes to other appointments. Treat your fitness the same as that. And the same applies to your nutrition as well. People think that food prep has to be some grand event on a Sunday where you're going to block out the whole afternoon and you're going to cook all your meals for the week, and you need like a 3-hour window, and oh my God, it just does not have to be that complicated. The best thing you can do is, when you're making your dinner the night before, make twice as much. There's your lunch for the next day. Easy. You're already cooking it anyway. Or on a Sunday, I choose Sunday because it's generally the day when people have got the least going on. Also, it's the start of the working week the next day, so you want to start the week off on a good foot. But on a Sunday, just batch cook some chicken and then don't stress about it. Have it throughout the week with some microwave rice, some peppers, some salad. It doesn't have to be overcomplicated. And if you don't have the time to air fry some chicken, buy some pre-cooked chicken. All right, it's not the ideal, but I guarantee it's better than the lunches you're currently eating when you tell yourself you don't have time, and then you end up eating another shop-bought sandwich that's got barely any protein in, it's ultra-processed, and you wonder why you feel like crap. So that's the first thing that women come to me with, is the time thing. And like I said, I don't disagree, but it's about finding the time, and finding the time that works for you and your family so that you can start to make some headway. And it's exactly what I do. And it works. And you get to the point where it's just part of your life. It's part of who you are. It's part of your routine. It just becomes second nature. You know what to buy in the food shop. You know when you're doing your workouts, you're ready to go. The second thing of the top 3 things that women come to me is telling me they don't know where to start. And this is a big one, mostly because we are served as women of this age and life stage, we are served so many solutions, like so many solutions to our health and fitness. All you need to do is 7 minutes of HIIT twice a day. No, wait, you need to lift as heavy as is humanly possible in every single workout you do, and just do 4 to 6 reps, because that's going to help you, especially for the perimenopause. No, actually, you don't need to do that. No, what you need to do is lighter weights, but higher rep ranges, because otherwise you're going to injure yourself if you lift heavy. But don't forget that you also probably should start fasting, so maybe skip breakfast. But if you do that, whatever you do, don't drink coffee on an empty stomach, because that will spike your cortisol and that will cause belly fat. And then also, you need to make sure that you're hacking or balancing your hormones, because as a woman, your hormones are all over the place and they should be level. That's not true, by the way. Your hormones should not be level as a woman. They're meant to be up and down, but that's another podcast for another day. And drink electrolytes, but actually no, don't drink electrolytes because they might be poisoning you. And you need to make sure that you're getting enough protein. The protein's really, really important. However, you don't want to be eating protein that's for men. You need protein that's for women, because protein that's for men will bloat you, because as a woman, you've got a completely different gut to a man. So you've got to have protein for women. And you should be taking creatine, but don't take too much creatine because that'll make you bloated. And it causes water retention, which can make you puffy. But actually, no, it doesn't make you puffy. But it will make you put on weight. But don't worry, because it's just muscle. But don't have too much creatine, because then you'll get bulky, and you don't want to bulk up because then that looks manly. And you should definitely be doing sprint intervals twice a week, especially if you're 40, and uphill treadmill walking. But don't push yourself too hard. But maybe wear a weighted vest. Actually, that might help as well. Like, oh my God. And I'm only just getting started. I'm not even scratching the surface. So no wonder you don't know where to start. I wouldn't know where to start. And what happens is, it just grinds you to a halt. So you do nothing. Like absolutely nothing. Because you're so scared that if you do something and you waste your time on it and it's the wrong thing, or you do something because you saw that someone's doing it, like, I don't know, Courtney Black with an obsession over lymphatic drainage, like the woman's gone mad. You start doing something, hopefully you're not going to do that, and then you think, oh, I've wasted all this time and money on it and it's not worked. Or worse, you start doing something and it puts you in a worse position than you were originally, because actually the advice isn't for you. It's just by the marketers to make money. But they tell you it's for you. They tell it specifically for a woman who is 40, heading into perimenopause, and this is the solution. So I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised, and it's one of the biggest bugbears of mine in this industry, that women are marketed to like this, spoken to like this, treated like we are stupid and unintelligent. And that's the other thing. You guys are intelligent. You are really smart, intelligent women. But because this isn't your topic and you don't know, and because of the messages that we were given as we were growing up as teenagers, we still attribute so much of our self-worth to what the number on the scale says. And marketers, and unfortunately a lot of other women in the industry, which was really, really grates on me, they know it's our weak spot. They know it's our weak spot, that we've got cellulite on the back of our legs, and we have flashbacks to Heat magazine's Ring of Shame. They know it's our weak spot that we might hold a bit of extra fat around our tummies because of our age. We're more sedentary, we've probably had babies, various other reasons. But they'll tell us that it's our hormones and that it's cortisol and stress causing it. They know how vulnerable we are and how gullible we are. And they also know how much money we've got in our back pocket to throw at it. The best place to start is get yourself a set of dumbbells, or better still, join a gym. But if you aren't up for joining a gym, don't worry. Get yourself one set of dumbbells and follow a really straightforward resistance program where it's covering squat and hinge and push and pull with a little bit of conditioning in there. That's it. You don't need to be doing anything more complicated than that. Not right now, not if you've not done anything. That is your starting point. You don't need any supplements. You definitely don't need to be fasting. You don't need any gadgets. I'm really sorry, but vibration plates and things that suck the fat off your thighs are an absolute waste of money if you're not already resistance training. And actually, the cellulite one, it doesn't work. It'll give you, I don't know, a day of a better appearance on your legs. But you don't need those things. You don't need an Oura ring. You don't need an Apple Watch. The place to start is to start lifting weights 2 to 3 times a week. And you found the time, because we just covered that. You found the time in your diary. And just keep it simple. Just keep it simple and just do it. Put your best music on. Do it before the kids wake up. Do it on your lunch break. Do it in the living room. It doesn't matter. Just do it on repeat. That is the place to start. Over and above anything else when it comes to exercise and when it comes to nutrition, again, you don't need a fancy Instagram recipe. Yeah, all right, they're fun. And if you want to do it because you enjoy cooking and you find it fun, great. But honestly, some high protein special brunch recipe that's got 25 million ingredients in it and takes you an hour and a half to cook is not going to be the reason that you lose weight or that you get healthier either. The best thing you can do is, as a rule, eat more fruit and veg, eat more protein. 35 grams per meal is a really good baseline if you don't know what you should be aiming for. 35 grams at breakfast, 35 grams at lunch, 35 grams at dinner, and you will be already eating probably 2 to 3 times more than you currently are. And for the rest of it, watch your portion sizes and try and pull back on ultra processed foods. I'm not saying cut them out. It's impossible to in this world. And you know, some of them are actually really bloody tasty. But try and pull back on it. Just have a little bit of reflection, like, what am I actually eating? Do I eat 5 to 7 portions of fruit and veg a day? No. Right, well, there's a great starting point. Do I eat anywhere near 100 grams of protein a day? No. Okay, so let's focus on those 2 things first. And let's see how when you focus on those, you naturally start to have more energy and your cravings will naturally start to drop off. And then it doesn't matter if you have a couple of digestive biscuits because you're already fueling your body better. And honestly, they're the 2 places to start. Really simple. Don't overthink it. That is it. Which leads me perfectly onto the third thing. Just finding things so overwhelming and confusing because everything has to be complicated and difficult to feel like it's working. Have you ever had that feeling where you're like, yeah, but this feels too easy? How I thought it was meant to be difficult. How can this be working? This feels way too easy. It is easy. It's just boring. I mean, I don't find the exercise side of it boring. Some people do. But the nutrition side of it, it can be really boring. But also, it does not need to be complicated. It doesn't need to be difficult. Like this, in my opinion, the simpler, the better. Like if you are happy to eat the same foods on repeat, if you are not a fussy eater, then I would literally find one breakfast that you're happy to have every single day. That is what I do, the same breakfast every day. That's it. I have 45 grams of oats, 100 mils of milk, scoop of protein powder, berries, done. And then with lunches, find 2 or 3 that you'll happily eat on repeat so that when you do the food shop, you're not like thinking, what should I have for lunch? Also, even worse, when it gets to lunchtime, because I would say that lunch is the biggest meal of the day that women don't think about and then either skip completely, which then the knock-on effect is binging when you get home because you're so like bottomed out on energy, or because they've not thought about it and they suddenly go, oh, it's lunchtime. Oh my God, right, I'm starving, what shall I have? You just make choices that aren't going to get you to where you want to be. So you might not have a meal that's got any fruit or veggies in it. You might not have a meal that's even got any protein in. You'll just go for convenience and quick because you're time poor, you've not thought it through. If you're at home, it'll be a case of like, right, what have we got in the fridge? What's in the cupboards? Okay, well, I'll just have, I don't know, a bagel with cream cheese on, which is not bad, by the way. But it's also not going to be the thing that A, fuels you enough or has got enough protein in and you've got no salad in there or anything. Do you see my point? But it really doesn't need to be complicated. You just need to have the right foods in, have the same meals on repeat, and then dinner's your variable because you're going to be eating with your partner, your husband, your kids. And once you've got the rest of it nailed, you don't need to stress about dinner. I think that sometimes we tell ourselves stories which ties into all 3 of these things, which is, I don't have time to exercise, so what's the point? I don't have time to food prep, so I can't possibly lose weight or eat how I need to eat. And then I don't know where to start because I've never exercised the way that I'm being told to exercise now before in terms of strength training. Or do I do the intervals or the incline walk or whatever, and I don't know where to start with food because I'm bombarded with all of these different recipes and influencers, and do you eat this, don't eat that, this will cause inflammation, this will do this, like, shall I fast, all of these things. And then the overcomplicated side of things, which is, okay, so now I've found the time and I know where to start, but then what do I actually do? Like am I meant to be doing a million different things at once? Am I ticking the boxes with all of these different things? Do I need to be adding in all these extras like supplements and stuff? No. And I had this realization, like I said last week, when I was like, I did all of these 3 things, but applied them to my podcast. So told myself I didn't have time, didn't really know where to start, and then I overcomplicated it. And it made me realise that that's what this episode should be about. So hopefully I've given you enough information there after my little waffle on that you now can work out how to find the time, you do know where to start, and you won't overcomplicate it. If you found this helpful, I would love it if you subscribe to my podcast, and I would love to see any comments in the comments box below. And please share with all of your female friends because I want to help as many of you as possible. Have a great weekend.